Some places don't look dangerous. That's how they survive us. We travel for beauty, for silence. But some places were never built to be admired. They were built to be endured. Across this planet, there are environments that don't threaten. They don't chase. They don't warn. They simply exist, patient, indifferent, unmoved by our presence. A city where the air carries an invisible memory. A shoreline that waits for you to turn your back. Ground that looks solid until it opens. Why do we keep going? Why do we step closer to heat, to ice, to radiation, even when every instinct tells us to stop? Maybe it's curiosity. Maybe it's arrogance. Or maybe we need to stand near something lethal to remember how fragile we are. Tonight, we're not chasing postcards. We're stepping into places that resist us. Places that test breath, balance, and judgment. This is a journey through the world's most impossible landscapes. And the first one has been empty for decades. Silence is the first warning. We step through a checkpoint where time stopped working. The air feels clean. Too clean. Birdsong echoes through empty streets, and that makes it worse. This is Chernobyl Exclusion Zone. A place erased without fire, without invasion, without enemies you can see. Most researchers believe that when the reactor failed, radioactive particles spread so fast that entire cities were abandoned in less than 2 days. People left food on tables, toys on beds, doors unlocked. The danger here has no shape, no smell, no sound. We walk past apartment blocks where trees grow through windows. Paint peels like old skin. Metal railings crumble under a light touch. The ground looks ordinary, but every step carries a question. How long can you stand here before the place enters you? Radiation doesn't attack. It waits. One wrong decision. Leaning against a wall, brushing dust from a jacket, standing too long near cracked concrete, and the cost won't be paid today. It will be paid later, quietly, inside the body. A former cleanup worker joins us briefly. He wears gloves, even now. Doesn't sit. Doesn't touch handrails. He says habits are how you survive when danger is invisible. Surfaces remember even when people forget. To stay alive here, you move slowly. You follow mapped paths. You never eat, drink, or touch your face. And when your meter clicks faster, you leave. Curiosity is not worth carrying home. The city feels like a photograph left in the rain. Details fading, but the outlines still sharp. Like a warning written in dust instead of ink. Nature has returned, but cautiously, as if it knows this place is still sick. What makes Chernobyl terrifying isn't what happened. It's what continues to happen without drama. No explosion. No screams. Just time doing damage, slowly. This wasn't a natural disaster. It was a human one. Designed, managed, denied. And standing here, one truth becomes unavoidable. The most dangerous places aren't always hostile. Sometimes they are familiar. We leave the city behind. The clicks fade. The silence follows. And ahead, the danger won't be invisible. It will glow. Fire doesn't explode here. It advances. We feel it before we see it. Heat pressing through boots. A dry hiss riding the wind. The ground ahead glows like a wound that refuses to close. This is Fagradalsfjall volcano, a mountain that slept for centuries, then quietly woke up. Most researchers believe this eruption is part of a rift system where two tectonic plates are slowly pulling apart, widening the island by only a few centimeters each year. No violence, just pressure patiently released. The air smells sharp, sulfur and warm stone. Each breath feels heavier, as if oxygen itself is being negotiated. What makes this place deceptive is its calm. Lava doesn't charge downhill. It crawls, slow enough to film, slow enough to underestimate. That's the danger moment. People step closer because it looks manageable, because it looks contained. But lava radiates heat strong enough to overwhelm the body from several meters away. Shoes soften, lenses crack, and the wind can turn in seconds, pulling toxic gas into places lungs were meant to be. A local guide stops walking without warning. He doesn't point. He doesn't speak. He watches the steam. Later he tells us he listens for changes in sound. A deeper hiss means the surface is thinning. That's when the ground can fail. Survival here isn't about speed. It's about distance. You stay uphill from the flow. You watch the wind before every step. And if the ground feels warm through your soles, you're already too close. The lava river cuts through black stone like glowing veins beneath burned skin. It looks unreal, like the planet has peeled itself open to show how it works. Standing here, something becomes clear. This isn't destruction. This is construction. Every step of lava creates new land, even as it erases what stood before. The same process that built this island is happening again, right now, without ceremony. The mountain doesn't care who's watching. It doesn't adjust for crowds or cameras. It simply continues, reshaping the ground at a pace the human mind struggles to respect. Fire here isn't angry. It's indifferent, like a clock that doesn't know it's counting down lives. We back away slowly. The glow fades behind us. Heat gives way to cold air rushing in from the coast. And as the volcano settles into the distance, one thought lingers. Some dangers are slow enough to study. Others are patient enough to wait. Ahead, the threat won't glow or hiss. It will look beautiful, and it will wait for the ocean to help. The beach looks calm. That's the mistake. We step onto sand that isn't really sand. It's crushed volcanic rock, sharp and black, still holding the cold of the night. Each step sounds wrong. Too dry. Too brittle. This is Black Sand Beach, Iceland. A shoreline born from fire, pretending to belong to water. Most researchers believe these beaches formed when molten lava poured straight into the sea, shattered on contact, and cooled into glass-dark fragments. We're walking on the memory of an eruption. The wind cuts sideways here. It smells like salt and iron. Cold air pushes into the chest, shallow and insistent. The ocean ahead looks polite. Measured, almost gentle. That's the danger. These waters are famous for sneaker waves. Waves that don't build, don't run. One moment, the tide sits far back. The next, it surges forward with sudden weight and force. Step too close, and you don't get pulled. You get taken. The sand offers no grip. The slope drops fast. Cold water here can steal muscle control in under a minute, making standing impossible before panic even arrives. A ranger watches from a distance. He doesn't shout anymore. He told us once that shouting wastes time. If someone ignores the signs, there's rarely enough of it left. To survive here, you keep distance that feels excessive. You never turn your back on the sea. And if the water suddenly retreats farther than it should, you move uphill immediately. That's the ocean inhaling. The cliffs behind us rise in dark columns, like a broken cathedral pressed against the sky. Ahead, the Atlantic rolls in slow, patient cycles, as if it knows exactly how long it can wait. This place feels like a trap disguised as beauty, like a bruise between land and water that never healed. We back away, sand crunching underfoot. The waves continue, indifferent to our retreat. And as we leave the shoreline behind, one thought stays with us. Some dangers don't chase you. They just wait for you to relax. The ice moves. You just don't notice it at first. We stand at the edge of a lake, so still it feels staged. Cold air presses against the face. Every breath burns slightly on the way in. The glacier ahead looks permanent, too solid to fear. That's the illusion. This is Perito Moreno Glacier, one of the rare glaciers on Earth that isn't retreating. Most researchers believe its apparent stability comes from a fragile balance between snowfall and melt, a balance that can break without warning. The ice speaks here, not loudly. Deep cracks echo across the water like distant thunder trapped under glass. Each sound means pressure shifting inside a body of ice thicker than city blocks. Then, the danger arrives. A fracture races upward. Ice, the size of buildings, tears free. The lake explodes outward. Waves slam the shore seconds later, powerful enough to knock a standing person off balance. Stand too close, and there's no time to react. Slip on wet rock, and the cold will take control of your muscles before panic finishes forming. This water doesn't shock. It shuts you down. A local guide grips the railing tighter when the sound changes. He doesn't watch the ice fall. He watches the water. Later, he tells us the splash doesn't matter. The surge does. To survive here, you keep distance from the edge. You never stand below overhangs. And when the glacier starts to groan, you stop moving entirely. The ice looks frozen in time. It isn't. It's a slow collapse, stretched across centuries. Like a frozen lung inhaling and exhaling against the mountains. Perito Moreno reminds us of something uncomfortable. Even the coldest places are alive. And when they move, they don't ask permission. Ahead, the danger won't crack or fall. It will arrive on the wind. The horizon disappears first. Then the sound. We're standing in open desert when the light begins to flatten. Colors drain away. The air thickens. Breathing suddenly feels deliberate. This is Sahara sandstorms. Not a single location, but a moving threat that can stretch for hundreds of kilometers. Most researchers believe these storms can lift billions of tons of sand into the atmosphere, darkening skies far beyond the desert itself. The danger here doesn't rush in all at once. It builds. Wind sharpens. Grains of sand strike exposed skin like needles. Then the world turns the color of rust. Visibility collapses to a few steps. Direction loses meaning. Sound is swallowed. Take one wrong step now, and you begin walking in circles without knowing it. Inhale too deeply, and the lungs burn. Eyes flood with tears that make seeing even harder. This isn't panic. It's disorientation. A truck driver pulls his scarf tight across his face and shuts off the engine. He doesn't try to outrun the storm. He waits. Later he tells us movement wastes oxygen. Oxygen saves it. Survival here is restraint. You cover your mouth and eyes. You stay low. You mark your position before the storm fully closes in. And you never trust your sense of distance. The desert bends it. The storm feels alive, like a wall that breathes, like the sky collapsing grain by grain. When the wind finally eases, the landscape has changed. Tracks erased. Landmarks gone. Even familiar ground feels unfamiliar. The Sahara doesn't need cliffs or fire to kill. It just removes reference. And as the dust settles, one truth remains. Some dangers don't strike the body first. They unmake the mind. The desert is silent. Not peaceful, empty. We step onto dunes that feel warm, even through thick soles. The air is dry enough to scrape the throat. Each breath tastes like dust and distance. There are no sounds to follow. No edges to trust. This is Namib Desert Dunes. Some of the oldest dunes on Earth, shaped over millions of years. Most researchers believe these sands have been lifted and dropped so many times by wind that the landscape learned how to move without traveling anywhere. The danger here isn't sudden. It's subtraction. Step off a ridge and your footprints vanish almost instantly. The sun flattens shadows, turning hills into copies of themselves. Lose orientation for a few minutes, and the body begins spending water faster than you realize. A local guide never looks at the horizon. He watches the sand at his feet. Later, he tells us dunes lie. They lean, shift, and quietly pull you off course. To survive here, you move early or not at all. You ration water before thirst appears. And you never chase shade that looks too perfect. It's often heat-bending light. The dunes rise like frozen waves. A golden ocean that forgot how to drown. Beautiful. Indifferent. The Namib doesn't trap you. It lets you walk away until you can't tell which direction that is. The wind decides everything here. We stand on ground that feels unfinished, as if the island is still being assembled by weather. Cold air presses sideways. Not down, sideways. Enough to force a lean, just to stay upright. This is Faroe Islands, an archipelago rising straight out of the North Atlantic, where cliffs don't slope, they drop. Most researchers believe these islands were formed by volcanic layers, then carved down relentlessly by storms that never learned restraint. The danger isn't the height. It's the wind. Gusts arrive without warning, strong enough to shift balance mid-step. Fog rolls in fast, flattening depth and distance. One moment, the edge is visible. The next, it isn't there at all. Step too close in low visibility, and there's no stumble. No slide. Only air. A shepherd keeps his eyes on the ground, not the horizon. He walks slowly, deliberately. Later, he tells us the land changes personality with the weather. What's safe in clear air can become lethal in seconds. To survive here, you stay far from cliff edges. You move sideways into strong wind, never with it. And when fog thickens, you stop. Progress isn't worth guessing. The cliffs look like stone blades cutting into the sea, like a spine exposed to centuries of storms. Below, waves strike rock with the patience of something eternal. The Faroe Islands don't feel hostile. They feel selective. They don't chase you away. They wait for you to misjudge one step. The danger here doesn't move. It waits. We walk through streets that were built to be loud. Factories, apartment blocks, playgrounds meant for hundreds of voices. Now, every step echoes too long. This is abandoned Soviet towns. Cities designed around single industries, emptied almost overnight. Most researchers believe when state systems collapsed, entire communities lost purpose faster than they lost people. Jobs vanished, supplies stopped, and residents left in waves. The air smells stale. Old metal. Vet concrete. The kind of smell that lingers even when no one does. The danger here isn't memory. It's decay. Floors soften without warning. Stairwells sag under their own weight. Ceilings hold just long enough to convince you they won't fall. Step into the wrong room, and the building decides you don't belong. A caretaker still lives nearby. He unlocks one door, then stops us with a raised hand. Not inside. He says the roof listens now. It falls when it wants. To stay alive here, you test every step. You never walk alone. And you leave before curiosity turns into confidence. Confidence is how these places collect people. Nature has begun reclaiming the towns, but carefully. Trees push through windows like slow intruders. Vines wrap staircases as if trying to hold them together. It feels less like rebirth and more like something covering a body. The streets resemble paused machinery. Everything in place. Nothing operating. Like a clock that still has hands, but no longer measures time. What makes these towns unsettling isn't what happened here. It's how quickly absence became normal. The buildings aren't angry. They're tired. The cold arrives before the sound. It presses into the lungs, tightens fingers, turns every breath into effort. The world here feels stripped of color, as if even light has been rationed. This is Antarctic Peninsula, the most accessible edge of the southern continent, and still one of the most hostile places on Earth. Most researchers believe Antarctica holds the majority of the planet's fresh water, locked in ice thick enough to reshape oceans if it ever lets go. The silence is not empty. It's dense. Wind moves across ice, like something alive, scraping, whistling, never settling. Temperatures stay near freezing even in summer, and storms can rise without warning. The danger here is scale. Depth perception fails. Snow hides crevasses beneath thin skins of white. One misplaced step can open into nothing, a vertical drop that sound never reaches the bottom of. A field researcher walks rope to us, moving slower than instinct allows. He stops often, probes the ground. Later he says hesitation is survival here. Speed belongs to places that forgive mistakes. To stay alive, you never travel alone. You stay roped, no matter how flat the surface looks. You watch weather, not terrain. And you turn back early, always early. The ice shelves stretch outward like ribs, vast and exposed, as if the continent itself is breathing beneath a frozen skin. The sea below is dark, patient, waiting for pieces of the land to return to it. Nothing here wants us gone. Nothing wants us here either. Antarctica doesn't threaten. It excludes. Standing on its edge, something becomes clear. This is what the world looks like without us in mind. No adaptation. No compromise. Just reality at full scale. We leave no marks that last. The wind erases them within minutes. And as the white horizon closes behind us, one thought remains. Some places are dangerous, not because they are broken, but because they are complete. The heat comes quietly here. No warning. No drama. We step into a landscape that feels endless. Rock. Dust. Sky stretched too wide to measure. The sun presses down like a hand that doesn't let go. This is Big Bend National Park, one of the most remote places in the continental United States. Most researchers believe its danger comes not from extremes, but from isolation, vast distances, limited water, and help that can be days away. The air smells dry and mineral. Each breath feels thinner than it should. Trails fade into stone. Cell signals disappear early. Out here, orientation is something you earn. The danger arrives when confidence lingers too long. Hikers underestimate distance. They ration water too late. Temperatures climb past what the body can regulate, and shade becomes a memory instead of relief. Heat exhaustion doesn't announce itself. It dulls judgment first. A park ranger checks our packs without comment. Extra water. Maps. Emergency beacons. Later he tells us most rescues start the same way. Someone thought the trail was shorter than it was. To survive here, you start before sunrise. You carry more water than feels reasonable. And when the sun reaches its highest point, you stop. Progress isn't worth heat stroke. The mountains fold into the desert like broken waves. The Rio Grande cuts a thin line through stone, a reminder that even here, something once moved with purpose. Big Bend doesn't feel hostile. It feels indifferent. It won't chase you. It won't trap you. It will simply let you keep going until the body decides otherwise. The wind hits before the view does. It comes down the valley, hard and cold, slamming into the chest, stealing warmth instantly. Every sound stretches thin here, as if the landscape refuses to hold it. This is Torres del Paine. This, a mountain system carved by ice and punished by weather. Most researchers believe the region's violent winds are created by sudden pressure shifts between the Pacific and the Patagonian ice fields, turning calm mornings into hazards without warning. The towers rise like broken teeth. Sharp, unforgiving. They look close. They aren't. The danger here is exposure. Wind can knock hikers off balance mid-step. Temperatures drop fast when clouds roll in. Rain turns to sleet, then to snow, sometimes in the same hour. Lose heat too quickly, and the body stops cooperating long before panic arrives. A trail warden watches the sky more than the path. When the wind changes tone, he stops us. Not because of what we see, but because of what's coming. He says most accidents happen right after people decide to push just a little farther. To stay alive here, you layer before you feel cold. You anchor your stance in strong gusts. And when visibility starts collapsing, you turn back immediately. Summits are optional. Survival isn't. The mountains feel like frozen waves mid-crash, like the earth tried to rise and was stopped halfway. Beautiful, but sharp in every direction. Torres del Paine doesn't intimidate. It exhausts. It lets the weather make the decisions. The mountains glow before they threaten. Soft light spills across pale stone, turning sharp edges gentle. For a moment, everything looks calm, inviting. That's the misdirection. This is Dolomites, a range built from ancient coral reefs, lifted skyward and carved into blades. Most researchers believe these peaks were once underwater, their limestone now fractured by freeze and thaw, weakening from the inside out. The air here is thin and cool. Footsteps echo too clearly. Rock faces feel solid until they don't. Small stones tick downward without warning, a reminder that gravity is always working. The danger is vertical. Climbers' trust holds that crumble under weight. Hikers misjudge exposure on narrow paths. One slip doesn't mean a fall, it means distance. And distance doesn't negotiate. A mountain guide pauses beneath a sheer wall. He listens. Loose rock announces itself before it moves. Later he tells us silence is safer than speed. Rushing is how these mountains collect stories. To survive here, you test every hold. You wear protection even on easy routes. And you never linger beneath unstable faces. Beauty fades quickly when stone decides to move. The peaks rise like frozen flames, pale against the sky. Like bones exposed by time. Iligan. Unforgiving. The Dolomites don't feel violent. They feel precise. They allow mistakes once. These places don't care if we understand them. They only care that we respect them.